it's the next level.
Hey panelers, welcome to the show. I'm Steve.
And I'm Daphne.
And welcome back, Daphne. This is a Snowpiercer, I can't talk tonight. It's been a day, let me tell you. We are restarting our Snowpiercer coverage. This is going to be a spoiler-filled podcast of the first episode of Snowpiercer Season 3, Episode 1. First episode. I like to repeat myself, so. But before we get started, Daphne, with our discussion of the first episode of Season 3, let's talk a little bit about where we left off. Now, I got a chance to watch the last 2 episodes of Season 2 again, so I kind of got my headspace into kind of where we're at. And there was one quote that really stood out to me. I don't remember if we mentioned this in the podcast last time. Probably did, because it seems like a quote that I would remember, is when Alex is talking about the train, the Snowpiercer that was under Melanie's control and under Layton's control. She talks about the fact that freedom has to be messy. And I thought that was a very interesting quote at the beginning of episode 10 of season 2. So we have the aquarium train, which was used to basically breach the train and separate the Snowpiercer engine from the Snowpiercer, the Big Alice engine, which is pushing Snowpiercer.
Yes, that would be correct.
And so we at first I thought we had about a 10-car pirate train, but we were discussing before we started recording that actually it's more like 7 cars if you try to count. So we lost a couple of cars in there, or 2 or 3 cars in this whole thing. We find out that Layton and Alex, they discover that Melanie had preserved the data from the recording, but we don't know where Melanie is. And we have Josie. I was going through it before we started recording. We have Layton, Josie, Alex, Ben, and Till. Those are basically our protagonists.
That's Team Layton.
On the pirate train. And then we have Audrey, the girl brakeman.
Sykes.
And Sykes, is that her name? Sykes?
Yeah,
okay.
Sykes.
And this new character, who's not actually a new character that we're going to discuss later on, of Martin.
Yeah, who the heck is Martin?
Yeah, and it seems like I would go Team Audrey is Audrey and Martin and Sykes, because I think the impression I got was that they locked her in the library train and left her back there.
They did. She didn't seem real down to go on Audrey's little mission to take over the train.
Yeah.
So I think she's kind of Team Layton. Or she might be Team Cover My Own Ass. I'm not really sure. So we'll see how it turns out with that.
Yeah, we'll see. What else? The one thing that I did find interesting, and we'll talk about hope in this first episode, because there was a lot about hope in this first episode, but in the second to the last episode of season 2, Layton begins the episode, in my opinion, when I rewatched it, he's very down. Like, he's really depressed. He's in that compost car. He's shoveling crap. He's getting fed through a little slot. But by the end of that episode, as soon as he finds out that Melanie is alive, as far as they know, or at one point was alive, he changes his tune completely. He tells Till, we're going to take back our train. And so I absolutely loved that. And I loved how that was going into season 3.
Yes.
What about you? Any other thoughts on season 1 or season 2?
Well, I think Boki and Josie were like the heroes of episode 10, because they were the ones who actually separated the front of Snowpiercer. And I think we have to set some ground guidelines from the beginning that we have Big Alice and Snowpiercer. And when we talk about Big Alice, we're talking about Big Alice, and is it 1,023 cars?
Right.
When we talk about Snowpiercer, we're talking about Snowpiercer and 7 cars.
Okay.
That is the separation between the two. We may have to
I
repeat
like
this
that.
a few times, but I think that we kind of have to set those, not rules, but those general thoughts in place, because it could get very confusing.
Yeah, because even in the episode, they kept calling both trains Snowpiercer.
Yes.
And that was a little confusing for me. So I totally agree. But we may talk a little bit about that, because the title of the episode kind of establishes what we're looking at and what kind of things. And I didn't have anything in my notes, but maybe you do, about the whole. How did he put it? Big Alice is a slow moving.
Oh, I wrote the entire speech
down. Good. Okay, you got it.
Because I loved it. I thought that opening was great, but we'll get to that once we get into
We'll get
notes.
to that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's remind everyone once again, if you have not watched the first episode of season 3 of Snowpiercer, I don't know why you'd be listening to us if you hadn't, but if you haven't, you need to stop now, go back, watch the first episode of season 3, and then come back to us, and we'll have our nice discussion of it. But we do have an episode synopsis. The title of the episode was "The Tortoise and the Hare." This is all according to IMDb, by the way, so if something changes, who knows? And it just gives a little synopsis of, while Wilford emphasizes his rule aboard his icy train, Layton's pirate train continues its dangerous quest for warm spots and comes across something entirely unexpected.
I think that's a decent synopsis.
I think so. I like the shorter ones that don't give a lot away, that just kind of tell you, here's what it's about, now go watch it,
Yeah. I liked this episode overall. I had a few questions at the end, and I thought about one thing I really loved right off the bat was the opening, where they're showing the track and how it runs throughout the world. And then also included in that is this hope about this tree, which it was alluded to. We saw Layton kind of having these visions of this tree.
Mm-hmm.
I think that tree represents hope, and I'm going to stick to it, and we will see, where it takes us this season. But I loved the analogy of the tortoise and the hare, because you have to imagine that Big Alice and all of those cars are a heck of a lot slower than Snowpiercer and her 7 cars.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we get that even in that throughout the episode, where they're talking about how hot it's running. And what was it? I didn't write it down, but the one where how are we doing, Alex? And she says, well, we're not on fire. So,
that says a lot.
Yeah. I kind of like that. Well, yeah, I loved it as well. I'm along with you. I have a few couple of things that I was a little, not disappointed is too strong of a word. I'm unsettled about.
Okay.
And I'll get into that when we get into our top 5 highlights.
Okay.
But I did love, there's a lot of things that are set up for this season. And I watched the trailer for the next episode.
Me too.
So I'm excited to see where that's going to take us.
I kind of wanted to know, overall, every season has been building towards this one, and I feel like the theme for this one is kind of a war with hope and the potential for their lives changing forever.
Yeah.
And I feel like that has been we've been on the cusp of that. I think in the first season, it was, the battle of who's gonna prevail on the train. Is it going to be first class or the tailies? Then last season, we saw a wonderful Wilford return, and we've learned how sadistic he is. So it became the battle for the train between Layton and his team and the wonderful Wilford, who, man, he's a piece of work. We learned more about him, and some of the things that he did last season were just incredibly brutal. And going into this season, I was already a little uneasy about what we might see from him this time. But then this season, I feel like it's not just about the train. It's about the future and hope for the future and how they can get hope for everyone that's on the train, not just, the few people that are on Snowpiercer.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the battle. It's always talked about in different movies. It's hearts and minds. It's going to be the battle is there. We've got to get their heart and we've got to get their mind. But I think like you said, I think what we're going to see is Wilford is going to be the controlling kind of stamp out hope that no, we need to stay on the train and stay moving. And Layton's group is going to be the ones that no, we're hopeful that the world is returning to something at least like it used to be. And we want to see where that goes.
Yes. And I remember last year on the podcast, we talked about the fact that Wilford really wants to keep everyone on the train because it's an environment that he can control and where he has power. And we know he's obsessed with power.
Exactly. So with that, why don't we get into our discussion points? And as I was raised a gentleman and I will always be a gentleman, I always let the lady go first.
Well, I wanted to go back to the starting point and revisit the opening monologue that we got from Layton.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to read that real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's basically 2 trains, 2 chapters to tell. One runs hot and fast, the other lumbers slow. Cold cast in Wilford's iron grip. An armored tortoise plodding after a hare. Everyone under a single thumb serving a single obsession to retake the pirates and exact his revenge. Inside, it's a backwards world. Only one class now, the working class. Freezing, stitching, fixing, suffering. But frostbitten fingers hold fast deep in the iced-over bowels where Wilford never treads. A spark still lives, the resistance, the nurtured and protected by the bravest of the brave. The heart of hope still beats aboard Wilford's rolling gulag, 1,023 cars long. I think the heart of hope still beats aboard Wilford's rolling gulag may be one of my favorite quotes or pieces from opening monologues from the entire series. Because I think that's what is representative, because we see that during this monologue. We see how very different life is on Snowpiercer, or Big Alice's Snowpiercer, than it used to be when they had the first class cabins and everything was bright and beautiful at the front. We're not seeing that. It's very dark.
Yeah, this was somewhere within my notes and I can't remember exactly where it was. But it was interesting to see that the fact that Big Alice has become basically, you have Wilford and Javi, Javi alive. I was so thankful.
We'll get to that later.
Okay, all right. So we got Ben and Javi, and who's with him in the engine?
The dog.
Kevin. The dog and dog, and Kevin goes back and forth. Yeah, Kevin kind of goes back and forth between the engine, and it kept confusing me. The geography kept confusing me a little bit until I realized that, oh wait, this is Big Alice pushing the train. So first class is all the way up at the front.
Yes.
Of Big Alice now. It's shut down. It's all icy and cold.
Very cold. Very cold.
And then you have the second class or wherever the rest of the refugees, 2,700 people are living in all the rest of the cars that still remain. And they're they're cold. There's some of them are getting frostbitten. There's one point where Kevin talks about a culling, and Ruth is not Ruth. Zara's like, no, you can't do that. So that's the other one we have is Zara, and then we have the doctors. So these are all the ones that are basically in the Big Alice engine that have maybe you're living at least a better life than what.
There's comfort there.
There's comfort there. And then I loved you. I got chills when you read that monologue again, because I started imagining Ruth is that metaphorical beating heart.
Yes, she
that's
is.
in the coldest part of the train with this little space heater and her warm heart. She's staring out the porthole there at the end and just looking at everything. And I just love Ruth so much. I love the actress that plays her, and can't talk enough about her. So that's excellent.
I really like that too. I like that she is the resistance. She is the spark for the Resistance. And who else would be her second in command but the unpredictable Pike?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I've got some more about that in my next point, but I wanted to start off with my first point with what I was unsettled or disappointed about, and that was the ambiguousness of Melanie's status. I am so upset that we didn't even get anything from her, and I'm torn because, like, part of me, I want to know what's happening with her. But then I also know that the show is going to slowly dole out to us, what's happening with her. And we had several episodes in the last season where we never even saw her. And then we had one episode that was all about her, and so I was just like, I was kept going back and forth during the episode going, are we going to see her? And then when it ended and we didn't, I was just like,
Now, come on, Steve. You didn't really think they were going to give us Melanie right away, did you?
I hoped. I had hope.
Well, hope is a wonderful thing, but I don't think we're going to see her just yet. I think it sounds like something we might see around maybe episode 5 or 6. And not because I've read anything, but just because knowing TV and how they like to tell the story, and this show in particular, I didn't think that we would see her. I was kind of hopeful that we might get like some scene at the end of the episode that was kind of her in a bed waking up or something. I don't know, something. We didn't get it, but I'm okay with it because I feel like the people that put this show together know how to tell the story, so I'm putting a lot of faith in them to continue to tell it right.
Well, and they've given us something though that gives us a spark of hope that she is alive, is the fact that we have this introduction of this new character who apparently has been living not on the train, has been living in this whatever this facility was in North Korea for the entire time. So that we have that.
Yeah, it was kind of like a bunker, but it wasn't a bunker. It was just, Ben fell into it. He just kind of fell upon it into this big hole. He created this big hole when he just fell when he was collecting those samples. So, that new character is played, if I'm not mistaken, by Archie Punjabi, who is a wonderful actress. And I'm super excited that she's going to be part of the show and can't wait to see what her character brings us for information.
Yeah, I know we had that announcement last year before we finished up the podcast that she was joining the cast, and we kind of speculated maybe she was going to be the one to rescue Melanie. Well, maybe not, maybe so. Maybe Melanie's deeper in that bunker. I don't remember where her station was, like in the Rockies or something like that, right? In Colorado.
Yeah, she's far from here. But I'm thinking maybe this person, what I'm hoping for is that her character is someone who's connected through radio with others.
Right.
But I guess, we're going to have to be patient, and sometimes I'm just not that patient.
Unfortunately. So what is your next one?
My next one, I want to talk a little bit about the symbolism of the music in this episode. Because we get, near the beginning, we have Miss Gilly singing with the students the song Morningtown Ride. And then it transitions from her playing the ukulele and singing into Oz playing the piano in the night car, which doesn't look quite as elaborate and beautiful as it used to. And so I really enjoyed how that all wove together. We also got a string quartet in A major, Opus 2, which is by Strauss, that took place during a scene that was between Audrey and Sykes. But the one that I felt was the most impactful is the Dinah Washington song, This Bitter Earth. And that is what took us at the end of the episode for just going out into the end. We see Javi is sitting at his post. The dog is ready. Javi must be, he's traumatized, but we will get to that. But Jupiter is just sitting there And you get the feeling that Jupiter is only there to keep Javi in line. I mean, it looks like Javi doesn't dare to move. But we have Javi, then we transition into LJ and Oz in the night car, which whoever thought those two would be running the night car? Audrey, if she ever gets back to it, she may not be pleased. The terrible public defiling that happened for the two folks that took a bath.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get Wilford at Josie's sonogram, which scares me because he's just so sadistic. Then we get the scene that you were talking about with Ruth looking out the window. And it ends with Layton kind of having these visions of the tree and the Snowpiercer side. So I just felt, the words. This bitter earth, well, what a fruit it bears. What good is love that no one shares? There's another part a little bit later. Oh, this bitter earth, yes, it can be so cold. Or, oh, this bitter earth, yes, can it be so cold? Today you're young, too soon you're old. And I just think that it's representative of this show in so many ways. And I'm glad that they picked it because I think it had a lot of impact.
Yeah.
At the end. And the Morningtown ride that we had at the beginning is when we saw Winnipeg. She is still the stealth little messenger girl that we have seen, and she's still right in it, taking messages to everyone.
I love that when she runs through the night car and LJ's like, this is not a pass through. She just doesn't care. She's going to go wherever she wants to go. Nobody's going to stop her. And
we get that vision of her, how she gets there, how she actually gets to Ruth, and all of this weird, how hidden Ruth truly is. They're just keeping her secluded and safe, she is the spark, and they have to keep her safe from Wilford. But yet I don't think he knows it's her. I don't think he knows that she's leading it.
I'm totally convinced he has no clue that she is on the train, because if he knew she was on the train, he would turn everything over to find her.
Yes, he would.
To get her. There would be, so I'm convinced that he has no clue that she's there at all.
Yeah, I think Pike is keeping her safe. I think that's one of his focal points, is making sure Ruth stays hidden, stays safe, the whole 9 yards.
I love that we got Stephen Ogg back as Pike. He's so incredible, and he's just he plays so well that line between whether he's for Wilford or whether he's the Resistance. Yeah. And Wilford doesn't realize, or Kevin probably doesn't realize, that he's Resistance. And yet he's the one who's making sure Ruth gets deeper into the train where she can hide out, and he's got the little space heater there. And
my goodness,
the little comment he made, I had to roll this back several times, and then I finally had to look it up when he says something about a whippet. He says, and I had no clue. I mean, I knew it was something.
It's a dog. A whippet is a little dog. It's like it has a similar body type to a greyhound, only it's smaller.
And it's UK. It's a UK.
Yes.
Basically, that's where they are mostly at.
Yes. So
I thought it was really, really cool. Just like I said, I had to look it up and understand what that whole exchange meant. But they're so cute, those two. And I'm not saying I want something romantic to happen between the two of them, but it would be incredibly cute if something did.
I like them as a tandem. I think they're a good team together. And he, like you said, I think he's done a great job of just kind of not lying low, but keeping Wilford, doing what he has to do so Wilford doesn't really know just how ingrained in the Resistance he really is.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of where my next point kind of goes. I already kind of started to talk about hope, but there's a lot of hope in this episode. I loved hearing all the different characters interact with each other. Ruth, she still has the hope for Layton's return. That's what she tells Pike. We're all waiting for Layton's return. Pike has that same hope because he's part of the Resistance. He wouldn't be part of the Resistance if he didn't have some kind of hope, because we know Pike, in the first season, Pike was really a survivor. Mm-hmm. And I think it's in the second season when they convince him to help out, and he ends up in a drawer, and now we see him full blown. He's in the Resistance.
Yes, he is.
I love that Layton is maintaining his hope that Melanie is out there. And even though Audrey's kind of trying to pick at Alex and take that hope away, but it's Till. Till is the one who convinces Alex that there's still hope, which I thought was incredible. And that tree, as you talked about before, I'm right there with you. I believe that tree is the metaphor for that hope, for that life coming back.
Yes.
And,
we haven't mentioned either that this took place all 6 months after the train split. So there was a bit of a time jump. And if you didn't realize it, you would see it in one particular character.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I caught that in the very first watch when I saw the 6 months later. I was like, okay, so we've had 6 months of them running and Wilford chasing them around the globe, and they're looking for these hot spots. And I'm not sure if Till really believes that there's hot spots, or at least she wants to believe.
Yes.
But she's definitely right there with Alex, and she knows that Alex is the one that needs to keep that hope alive, sort of thing. And then finally Bennett, just having a hope that the pirate train is going to be maintained. He's outside the train and Alex is like, no, we need to go. And Bennett's like, no, it'll be fine. It'll, and I just love that back and forth of the two engineers, there. Cause we saw, it was one of the scenes in, it's between her and Ben, or is it I think it must be Ben, in episode 10, I think, where she puts her hand on the engine and she says something about it. And Ben says, your mom used to do that. Would touch the engine. Yes. And
I thought, was it Ben or Wilford?
It was it was one of them.
Ben or Wilford said that to her, like, your mom used to do that. Because she actually had shown Alex that, how to understand the train. And that was one of the things that she showed her. I think we also got to see a bit about Alex. She wasn't quite as confident in this episode. I think she needed a bit of reassurance, and she trusted Ben to kind of be the train guru. And without him, and realizing that she might have to step up, she got a little doubtful of herself. And Till was right there to just be, I'm here to do whatever you need me to do. We're gonna do this. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah, I loved it when she told Till, you're gonna have to pilot the engine, and Till's like, me? Yeah. She's like, well, yeah, there's only the two of us here, So, and then she puts her in the Among Us. I'm getting Among Us PTSD flashbacks when she's telling Till, connect the blue to the blue, the red to the red. I'm like, no!
That is very Among Us.
Yes.
You're right.
But yeah, so I just really like that hope, and I'm hoping we're going to keep getting that throughout the season.
Me too. So we can move on to my next point, which is Javi is alive. Oh my God. Ugh. I was hoping for it. I was so hoping for it when the episode started and there was someone sitting at the back of the train with a big old parka on. I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, it could be Javi. Is Javi alive? Because I already was mourning. We lost a few characters last season. It was real rough. And, I was just hoping. And so the fact is, Javi is alive. But the Javi that we saw, I'm just not... I feel like he's just been beaten down and defeated. And he's being guarded by Jupiter. And he's not allowed to move. And Wilford was super creepy with him a few times. Putting the cream on his scars and telling him that he needs him. And then he says... When you're one man responsible for nearly 3,000, it's not enough to be the disciplinarian. You need to add a little chaos to the mix. Out there, it's Kevin. In here, it's Jupiter. You can't fight the unpredictable, Javier. That's how I keep everyone safe. And then after that, he says to him, I need you. And I'm just like, oh, what do you need him for? I'm scared. I mean, we all know when you needed Kevin, what you did to him. And now Kevin is sadistic as well and so creepy. The scenes of him walking through the train, leading all of his officers with him was just oh, it's very unsettling. And I'm worried. I'm worried for our friends who are aboard Big Alice's Snowpiercer because can't trust anyone. I mean, we saw what happened to a few people, and yeah, not good.
Oh, that when he finds the second class water guy, and he's like, "You smell clean,"
Yeah.
and the woman there, and we know that she got the bath token actually from Pike.
Yes, but she didn't
Pike,
give him up.
No, and that was good, and so, yeah. Let's see. My next one we've really already talked about. Let me see if there's anything in there that. Yeah, my next one we've already kind of talked about. Wilford's one class train with L.J. Oz, and I forgot about Jackboot Wiggins. They're living in the night car, and then Kevin and Mr. Wilford in the engine with Javi as the pilot. But then we have, the second class and the Tailies have basically mixed together. And I forgot that we lost a bunch of first class passengers in that during the rebellion.
We really did. It's rough. We've lost some every season. And even though, one thing about Snowpiercer is even though we have our main characters, there are all of these other characters that are kind of auxiliary or extra characters. But they come in very handy. They do a lot of great things. And when you lose them, you don't want to lose them because you're thinking, no, that's Boki. Like Boki.
Right.
Boki's story really came to a head. And losing him was a huge deal because he was so strong. And they needed that strength.
Mm-hmm.
But he was, he was so necessary when he was he was able to save everyone by helping split that car.
And that was another one of those scenes in episode 10 where you have the execution of the people who killed the breachmen under Wilford's orders, where he brings Layton in, he brings Till in, and he says, these are the people that killed the breachmen. And Till's like, but they did it on your orders, and they had to go to trial. And he's like, no, we're just going to kill him. And then basically he just opens up the pipes and just freezes them. And you're just like, these were people who were following your orders.
Yeah.
Roche and his family are in drawers somewhere.
I know. Oh, and it's been 6 months.
Yeah. So who knows what state they're in.
Yeah.
So that was my number 3 kind of thing. Like I said, we've already kind of talked about it, the whole one class train and the fact that Wilford doesn't know, it's really surprising to me that it's almost like he doesn't even suspect that it's Ruth. And the only thing reason I can think of that is he must believe that even though he only saw Layton and maybe Bennett, or I guess he only saw Layton when the breach happened, maybe he just assumes that Ruth is over there.
He probably does. I mean, no one really knows. The folks that are on Snowpiercer, the 7 cars, they know who's there because there's only a few of them. So they know where everyone else is. But you also don't know. I mean, we've determined that a couple more cars got damaged or broken.
Right.
So we're only down to 7. So...
Crazy.
I know, man.
So what is your next one?
My next point is Zara. I think she is in survival mode, and I think she was the biggest indication that the time has passed by because she is now much more pregnant with Layton's child. And it seems she has a role, although I think Wilford is kind of taking care of her because he realizes that he has to take care of everyone in order to keep Audrey safe on the other side. And Zara is, she's got a role to play. She's coming in and giving the update on how things are. The pipes are frozen. The ag sec output is down. And then 43 sleepers lost heat completely. She's explaining all of these things. And then, she tells Wilford that maybe they could cut off the first class, cut the first class cars loose And he won't do it.
Right.
He won't do it.
Because he thinks he's going to be able to bring Snowpiercer back to its glory, to its combined everything.
The magic and the elaborateness of everything. He wants to get back to that. And that's at the same time that Kevin suggests culling them. And that's when, Wilford's honest and said he has to keep all the passengers alive so that Audrey isn't harmed. I don't think Layton would hurt Audrey. I don't think he would. Even if Wilford did something really bad, I don't think he would hurt Audrey, because I think there's this piece of Layton that, like most of us, is hoping that Audrey isn't completely gone.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure. She was my favorite character for a long time on this show, and I'm a little disappointed, I have to say.
You and I kind of went back and forth. About who Audrey, of whether is she faking, is she really like this or what? And we finally had to come to the conclusion that she's back on Wilford's side. She's under his spell. Yeah, she's under his spell, and it's just
it's very disappointing. So I'm worried about Zara, though, because I think Wilford would take her child in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
I think he looks at that child as something he can hold over Layton's head. He looks at both of them as something that he can hold over Layton's head. And of course he wants a protege. He wants someone to be able to, leave Snowpiercer to, or, he wants an heir.
Mm-hmm. And he lost Alex.
Lost Alex. Alex wasn't he didn't have enough time. He needs to have someone from birth.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't get that with Alex. And now Alex has realized the truth. And she wants to get her mom. So I think we're in a situation where I'm really concerned that he is going to take the baby as soon as it's born. So I just keep thinking, Zara, don't go into labor yet. Hold off just a little while longer. I haven't done the math yet to determine how far along she is, but she's got to be 7 or 8 months along at least. So
she's got to be getting close. So.
She's got to be getting close. So time is of the essence here. I think Layton knows that as well.
So my next one is kind of the Ben rescue mission kind of thing, and it was one of those I could never tell. I could never read that wrist console thing, so I never really understood. The only one I caught was the one there at the end when Layton's was at 0, and that was in the second watch.
I think, their air or their suit pressure. Mm-hmm. I think that is what it had to do with.
Yeah.
And he was already low when he sent Josie back to Snowpiercer with Ben.
And the thing that kind of confused me a little bit, even on the second, did they know that Ben fell into a hole, or was that just an assumption they made because of the sounds they heard? Because they brought that very specific contraption, to build and lower a cable down to be able to lift someone out of like a falling into a hole.
I think it was an assumption.
Okay.
I think they may have been watching him and he disappeared, and one of them may have been watching him and he disappeared, and so he, they assumed that he was down inside, so they had to go and get him. Right. Okay. And Josie, so freaking tough.
Oh, so tough. I loved it. That she was amazing in this episode. Because, then they have to go and possibly rescue Layton because, and look, I understand being curious about, seeing this mysterious light and knowing that there's warmth, but dude, you're in a time crunch here.
Yeah, you're running out of power or air. You don't have any time to spare. You need to get out of there.
It was reckless, and then he's like shouting into the darkness, and this was another thing that kind of confused me a little bit, because I've been in mop gear, and it's hard to understand and hear people, and that's just a little rubber face mask. This was a full-on, headgear, helmet, and unless he's broadcasting outside his voice isn't going to go very far, and then the other person's got to hear him through their suit. That whole scene, I had issues with. Like, he doesn't even know how far he's gone. He doesn't know, if someone is there, he doesn't know what's going to happen, and then he gets attacked, and he has to fight. He has to fight back, and then was he carrying her in her suit?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I'm just like this whole sequence of events to me just seemed peculiar and not like I had to.
It was reckless. I think you were right. It's reckless because a lot of this revolution hinges on him, and if he is out of the equation, I'm not sure it succeeds. He is
exactly
instrumental to getting back the complete train.
He's the George Washington of Snowpiercer. So,
yeah, and I just don't see it succeeding without him.
Yeah. And that's what the whole thing, I had to suspend my disbelief. That's what it was. I had to suspend my disbelief that he would really go through all this trouble, unless maybe like he couldn't have thought it was Melanie. Cause like you said, they're thousands of miles away from anywhere Melanie could be. So anyway, that whole sequence of events. And
I think he was probably very surprised that there were signs of life.
Mm-hmm.
Because how on earth would they survive? But then also, there was blood on the wall. Because when I first looked at it, I thought, oh, this is very Resident Evil. He's in a cold, dark place, and there's blood on the wall. This is kind of strange. But I also think he was probably just blown away by the fact that there were those signs of life that he'd never expected to see in a million years.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So what is your number one?
Oh my goodness. It's so hard to have a number one in this because I feel like every point is number one. I have to go, honestly, with Ruth as the leader of the resistance. If you look back at where she was at the beginning of this series and how calm and put together she was to this point where she's freezing and she's really focused on, how to keep the resistance going without Layton there, knowing that he's going to come back or believing he's going to come back and that hope too, because she even says at one point, well, if you were going to come home, this would be a great time to do it, because she's sitting with her little space heater at minus 10 degrees thinking, I don't know how you even go to sleep in minus 10.
Yeah.
But I just see her transformation as, I think she's my favorite character now because the transformation from where she started to where she is now. And the actress is amazing. And yes. I just think that she is making the most of what she can, but she's also still got that humor because going back to the joke about the whippet, when they're rushing to get away from their first hiding place, which doesn't sound like it's their first one, it seems like they've been moving around a lot to stay safe. And she says to Pike, we can't all be built like a bloody whippet. Then, once they're safe, Pike actually says to her, what, you like that I'm built like a whippet? Or you likey that I'm built like a whippet? And it just made me kind of laugh. Another thing, when they're walking through to get to the new hiding place, and they're walking through first class, so it's really cold. It's that whole area where they all sat and had that meal. When Wilfred decided, that Kevin was going to be his right-hand guy. They're going through there, and she actually seemed a bit bugged that Kevin hadn't cleaned things up. That he just left everything there. Yeah. It kind of made me chuckle.
Yeah, I thank you for explaining that. I missed the earlier Whippet reference. So that's why I was so confused about the second Whippet reference.
Yeah,
so
she was the one who started it. She was the one who started it, and he just kind of continued it on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. That's helpful. So my last one, we've actually already talked all that through. So I'm going to go to the character of Martin, who we both said we were confused about.
Can you tell us where we've seen him before? Because evidently he has been seen before. So tell us.
Yes. Steve, I had to go back to this.
Where have we seen him?
I had to go back to the Snowpiercer wiki, and it is in season 1, episode 9. He is the one who gives them the gun, the weapon. He helps the resistance out in some in some way. And I need to rewatch that episode to remind myself how he helps out. But he's a first class passenger who, and that's why he has that quick line about, I took a nap and woke up and my husband was gone and my children are gone and I'm in this pirate train basically. And he has apparently become the chef of the pirate train because he's the one inventorying the food, and he's like bringing out those MRE type packets of food that he's like, this is the last Thai vegetarian, and this is this, and this is that. So that's who he was. We've only seen him that one time. He's not ever been. I went and checked IMDb as well to make sure we hadn't seen him in any other episodes, but no, season 1, episode 9. So we didn't see him at all in season 2, and here we are. And I guess I didn't realize that the pirate train contains some first class. It must contain some first class cars. So
yes, whatever was on the other side of the aquarium.
Right. So
I feel like I want a map of the train. Like, I want to see a map of the train. I'm going to have to go online because someone is as nerdy as me and has put it together, and I want to see it.
They have an app. At least last year they had an app that you could actually go on your phone or on your tablet, and you could scroll through the different cars that we know of and what number car it is. And you would get to one car where it would go, this car hasn't been revealed yet. And I don't remember what car the aquarium was, like car 99.
It was near the front. Yeah.
It was like car 11
or 10.
12,
right in there.
Somewhere in there was the aquarium car. And like I said, on that app, you could kind of scroll through the cars that had been revealed to us, like where the night car was positioned. And that's where, you figure out that it was actually levels. And so like one car might have 2 or 3 different levels of things. The train's got to be ginormous.
Yes.
So
it has to be. Remember though, Steve, back when our biggest issue was Lila Folger and if she was going to get away with murder.
Yes.
We've come a long, long way since then. Long way.
So let's see. Do we have any notes that we haven't talked about?
I've got a couple. Jack Boot Wiggins. Oh my goodness. Christian Brunn. He is Donnie from Orphan Black. It was so cool to see him pop up on this show.
Oh, goodness gracious. He's old. Sorry. Orphan Black was a long time ago.
Not really. It's been in this decade.
Okay.
Yeah, he played Donnie, which was Allison's husband in Orphan Black, which is show I love. I need to revisit it again.
Right.
So good.
Yeah.
Tatiana Maslany, just a fantastic show. So it was cool to see him show up in Snowpiercer, because I may have read that he was going to be on it, but I had totally forgotten. A lot happens in a year when you're waiting for another season to come out.
It's true. And it's been so long since I watched Orphan Black that I totally forgot who he was. So,
such a great
let's
show.
see. I thought, and I think for me, you mentioned Ruth as your favorite character, and I like Ruth a lot, but I think Till has kind of become my favorite character.
She's
and
great.
When she gets whacked on, just before she gets whacked on the head, Alex says we've got a 3-minute window to get back, and then I don't know how long it actually ends up taking for them to get the train back and actually stop it, but I love that she got a Die Hard moment. She's crawling through the vents, and then that moment when she pops her head down and her hair kind of flips down and she's upside down. It was just wild. I loved it in the way she kind of flipped down and then grabs the wrench. She was
badass in this episode. She was really badass.
And I just loved everything about her. I've already talked about the moment she had there with Alex, where when she starts to speed up and Alex like easy,
yeah.
And but yeah, just the great her pulling Alex back. And I've got one of her lines is one of my quotes that I've got.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just actually this Till and those moments she had in this episode were amazing.
Yeah, she was fantastic in this episode. I just loved her exchanges with Alex because she kind of took on a mother role to her, or a big sister. She was really trying to get Alex to believe in herself a little bit more. Because Alex has always been, or most of what she knows is under Wilford. And so now she's got this opportunity to discover more about herself, and I'm really excited to see where she goes this season.
Very, very cool. Any other notes that you got?
I feel like we have to talk a little bit about Audrey's coup that she had, basically, or attempted coup with Martin, where Martin actually says, well, the story is, you forced me to do this. Because I think she is convinced it's going to work, and he's not so sure. And Sykes did not even go along with it. And she was basically the head of security for Wilford. Mm-hmm. So that tells you something, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I was a little confused about this as well. Did she really think she would be able to succeed? Maybe if she was able to convince Alex, maybe that was her whole plan, is I'm going to convince Alex that the trade needs to keep going. And I want to light my joint.
Yeah.
Off the taser.
I think it was a cigarette.
Was it just a cigarette?
It was a cigarette, yeah. She'd been holding on to it for 6 months.
I just wondered, if one of those things where I went, I don't really know if this plan was ever going to work, but yeah, until knocking her out was great. I thought, she just walks by Martin, like she barely walks by.
Boom.
and then she, yeah. So yeah, I loved every moment of that. And we already talked a little bit about Josie and Layton. I forgot that they were a couple in the first season. Before Zara's pregnancy was revealed, and before Zara was the one who left her in the freezing car. Yeah. And so I kind of forgot about that. And they had that little moment there at the door, though, where they kind of kiss, and you see that spark again of, oh, these two were a couple.
They were. And then he had a fling. It was a one-night stand with Zara, because I don't think he ever expected he would even see her.
No.
Because she went to the front, remember? People who left the tailies to go to the front were not looked at very highly by those who stayed in the tail.
Well, and there was a while there where I'm not sure if he knew Josie was even alive.
Yeah, he didn't.
So, and I'd have to go back and rewatch those episodes to get the actual chronology of but I think you're right. They had that one night stand, and that's where she got pregnant. Yes. So we'd have to figure out the timeline of how long she has.
Yeah, I think she's going to have that baby soon. And so Layton, you've got to get back.
Yeah.
Because I just don't see Wilford allowing her to have that baby and
be able to raise it, or
Although I do believe that due to all of the issues that they're having with food, he may keep her alive to be able to take care of the baby, to breastfeed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's got to keep her in line. It's going to be at least, I don't know how long. I don't have kids, and I've never had a kid, and I'm probably not ever. But so I don't know what the weaning years would be, or how long it would be before he could just cut her off.
Yeah, it's usually a year, I think, that they breastfeed. Okay. A little more. It depends on the mother, I think. Okay. Some decide to go a bit longer.
So do you have any quotes that you want to share that you haven't already shared?
I have a couple. I've shared so many of them already. One is Audrey giving Sykes a chance to join her. She basically says, last chance, get back with Wilford, or dig a grave with Layton. And I'm just like, I'll dig a grave with Layton. Yeah. And Sykes, as we know, Sykes decides to be put in the cage. And then the other one that I liked was basically an exchange between Layton and Josie, where Layton says, one time, just for a change of pace, you could respect the chain of command. And Josie's like, chain of command? Layton, this isn't a battleship. It's a bloody life raft. And I mean, little Snowpiercer is a beacon of hope. It represents the opportunity for something so much more than staying on a moving metal freezing train. Having an opportunity to find a place that might be thawing out.
Yeah.
Which we know Wilford's not going to do.
I've got a couple. There's the exchange between Till and Alex again, where she's kind of encouraging her, and Till says, "Well, what would Ben do?" And Alex says, "Grab a pen and paper and start mansplaining."
Yes.
So
I found that funny too. Rowan Blanchard just continues to nail
really
it
really
every
good.
time. She just does. I mean, she's fantastic.
And then the other one I've got from Till is where Alex kind of says something about what if Wilford is right, and Till says he's not. Melanie is. We can get through this, Alex. Don't tip it the wrong way. And again, I keep falling back to things that Till said that I really, really enjoyed.
Yeah. Till, she's definitely one of my favorites. She's not my favorite, but she's up there. She's grown on me since we first met her in season 1.
Very cool. So we got a little bit of feedback here. Do you want to take that first one from Facebook?
Of course. This one's from Christy. She says, "Wow, a lot happened in this first episode. Super excited to see where this season goes." Hi, Christy. Thank you for your feedback.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And then the other piece of feedback we got was on Instagram from KT1AO. I didn't get a chance to click on the account and see if there was a name established with it, but KT1AO just says, loved it. I've been waiting for it for so long.
I know. In some ways, it feels like no time has passed, like we're only like a couple months. And then in other times, it feels like it's been forever. But I think that is because we got seasons 1 and 2 very close together. And then we really had to wait quite a while for this season. I mean, it was a year later.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh, but it's good. We got 10 episodes, I'm assuming. I haven't looked at.
Yes, we have 10. We have 10 episodes. Super excited.
Very, very cool. Yes. So please continue on with us. Let's see. I didn't see any other feedback or anywhere else. I did not get a chance to dig into any news on Snowpiercer this week. I may try, or last week. I may try this week to see if there's anything out there non-spoilery related that's out there. But so as we're winding down, one of the last things we like to do here on Panels to Pixels is give some podcast recommendations. So I have one that I just started, and I realize that everybody is probably sick of them by now, but these rewatch podcast shows, I love some of them. Some of them are a little more than I can take, but they just started one called Welcome to Our Show, and it is a New Girl rewatch podcast with Zoe Deschanel, Hannah Simone, and Lamorne Morris. And it's delightful. I've listened to about half of the first episode on the pilot, and it's delightful. Those three, you can tell that they are friends, and they talk about how their friendship sparked up, and how even in the audition process when they saw each other, they were excited. So
that is awesome. You know, Steve, I have not had a lot of time to listen to podcasts as much because I'm in a book club and we're doing Salem's Lot, which is Stephen King's Salem's Lot. But I've been podcasting a bit more than usual. So I haven't had as much time to listen to podcasts. I've been able to keep up on a few, but I haven't got anything new.
That's okay. That's okay. We'll at the end of this, we'll push your podcast and let people know where they can hear you out there. So as we say every week, the boilerplate stuff that I repeat almost every show, I think, is just normal stuff. You're listening to us on your podcast player of choice, but whatever podcast player of choice you have, whether it's Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, or any of the ones that are out there. I know there's a bunch of them out there. If you can give us a review, we would love to have that if available, and we'll read those if we get notified of those. We have a Facebook page, which is panels2pixels. Which is facebook.com/panels2pixels. We are on Twitter at panels2pixels. That's panels2pixels, the number 2, and then pixels. We are on Instagram as well, and our Instagram is panels2pixels podcast. It's all spelled out in letters. We have an email address, which is panels2pixels1@gmail.com. And we do have a website, panels2pixelspodcast.com. I'm not sure where that's at in construction at the moment. I haven't checked it lately. I know Mark was working on it. So, but if you go to panels2pixelspodcast.com, it may redirect you to our Facebook page and you can leave us feedback there. And as we always like to do, check out all the podcasts on the Next Level Online Podcast Network. You can go to nextlevelradioonline.com to see all of those. Next week, episode 2.
Yes.
Of Snowpiercer season 3.
Have you looked at the title for that episode?
I have not. What is the title?
The title is The Last to Go. Yeah. I'm not sure what that means.
I don't know either. And I don't know if the trailer that they showed at the end of the episode was for the entire season or just the next episode.
I think the trailer was for the whole season because
it's for the whole season.
This episode I'm checking on IMDb and it's got a synopsis.
Uh-huh.
So it's coming. We'll see it. And the thing is, too, Snowpiercer changed its day of the week because it used to be on Sundays and now it's on Mondays.
Yes.
I would have missed it if we hadn't had a conversation because I don't watch a lot of regular TV anymore. I'm mostly watching cable stations or streaming, so I would have missed it.
Yeah, so I'm glad we had that talk last week and I was able to tell you, no, it's Monday and we've got to do this on Tuesday. So So listeners out there, if you want to give us feedback, I think our normal schedule we're going to try to do is 6 o'clock Central Time. That's 7 o'clock Eastern Time on Tuesday. After the show airs on Monday, we will be recording our podcast. So if you can get your feedback in that 24-hour period or so, that would be excellent. But if you can't, we'll always read anything about the season on any episode.
As we go.
Well, Daphne, it's come to that time.
Yes.
Where can our listeners hear you?
Okay.
Besides here.
I am still over on Run for Your Lives podcast, recording with my friend Paik. We are still covering monsters, creatures, disasters, a bit of horror. The podcast has really grown. We're almost to the end of season 3, so season 4 will be starting in the spring. And this week we posted an episode on the film Reign of Fire. That was last week, and this week we're covering Antlers, so that will be out on Friday. And then
Antlers, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's a creepy one, Steve.
I'll have to see what I can do. You know, I'm busy myself podcasting and trying to catch up on some shows, but our friends over at House Podcastica should be wrapping up Cobra Kai this week. And then I'm going to still got Book of Boba Fett going over there on House Podcastica. So
we wrapped up Yellow Jackets last week.
Yes, you did an amazing job with Yellow Jackets in that season. And
so much fun, such a deep show. And it's fun to podcast about shows that have something below the surface level.
Mm-hmm.
That, I think, makes a difference. And Yellow Jackets is definitely that. I like shows where I have to figure something out. It makes me excited to watch the next episode, and Snowpiercer is still doing that for me. I'm interested to see where we go with this. Is Melanie alive? I don't know.
She better be. She better be alive. I'm telling you, I may riot if they don't have Jennifer Connelly. If she wants to become Alex's dark passenger. Wait, no, that's Dexter.
That's Dexter.
I love me some Jennifer Connelly. I have been a fan of Jennifer Connelly ever since the Career Opportunities days when no one really paid attention to her acting. But now she is an amazing actress. And,
I know. I'm excited. I hope. I did read a couple of articles, and the showrunners would not reveal if she was alive or dead, really. Just that she was going to appear in this season. So let's hold out hope for as long as we can.
We will. We will be holding out hope that we'll have a return. Well, that has brought us to the end of our episode for this evening. I'm Steve.
I'm Daphne.
And this was Panels to Pixels, and we will see you on the next panel.